Good morning, everyone. If you're in Australia, that is, it's good morning. Victoria Jennings here from Entrepreneurs Business School with another live session of taking care of business. So how are you going to take care of business today? Today I'm going to talk about the fastest way to scale your business without burnout. So I know a lot of business owners don't even think about scaling, and they just think about having their business and doing everything themselves, which is fine in the beginning. That's great. But if you want to actually be able to get away from your business and have holidays and not worry about who's taking care of business, then you need to have a very clear roadmap of how to do that. And it doesn't happen immediately, especially if you're bootstrapping your business, but it will happen if you make sure you've got the right plan in place and you know the steps to take. That's really important, and it won't happen if you don't know what those steps are. I guarantee that. So let's have a look at why most entrepreneurs work harder than they need to without a clear roadmap ahead, and they're stuck in the day-to-day. They're doing everything. They're feeling like an octopus. This is what I used to feel like. An octopus with all the 8 tentacles, juggling all these sorts of things all at the same time. One of those tentacles has got a bucket of water which puts out fires constantly because things might slip through the cracks, and then that becomes like an emergency that you have to take care of. So we want to avoid that as much as possible, and we want to make sure eventually one day you can step out of your business and have something that's actually an asset and saleable, so that it helps with your retirement as well. So that, it's like having a fantastic superannuation fund of your own that you can monetize when you want to retire, whenever that might be. So today I'm going to show you how to change all of that and to start looking at the stages of business that you need to put in place in order to go from bootstrapping in the beginning to having something that you can actually sell at the end. Okay, so who here feels like that your business can't run without you at the moment? Just put it down in the chat. Are you in one of those businesses where when you go on holidays, it either stops earning money or you've still got to go online and do certain things every day, even though you're on a holiday? Because the first goal for you is to get your business so that you can take a 3-month sabbatical without having to check in. Okay, when you can do that, you've got a business that you can sell. So keep that in mind as I talk about these things that I'm going to go through right now. Okay, so there's 3 common scaling mistakes. The first one is, as I said before, but that's the most important one, there's no clear roadmap to scaling. Okay, you started your business, fantastic. You're getting some revenue, awesome. That's wonderful. But how can you make your business still operate without you doing everything? Okay, and we talked about, on these sessions, we talked about a lot of ways to do that as well. So the next common mistake is business owners do everything themselves. And there's various reasons for that. Some people feel they can't trust others to do it. That's one reason why they do everything themselves. Other people just feel they can't afford to have anyone else to help them out, so they keep doing it themselves. And in the beginning, I'm not saying that that's wrong in the beginning, okay? In the beginning of your business, you just got to suck it up sunshine and do whatever it takes, okay? But as you're getting revenue in and as you're getting more established, you should be moving that needle. And what I see so often is business owners don't know how to move that needle. They don't know how to go from doing everything themselves to delegating and get out of it, okay? So it's really important to start looking at how you can delegate, who you can delegate to, and how you can trust others to do things and expect a good result, so that it doesn't have to keep falling back on yourself. okay? The other thing is chasing revenue instead of assets. So these are the people that focus on making money, and that's great, but that's only half of the story, right? Because once you've got the money, you've got to know how to keep the money, and you've got to know how to maximize your profits. And then your profits are the things that you use to grow your business even more and to create an asset for you. Then the business becomes an asset itself, but also the business can purchase other assets, and you purchase them in the business name. And there's a whole world out there to explore about that. Now, I'm not a financial expert, and I want to say that straight up. I don't give financial advice. I wouldn't dare think that I could give financial advice, all right? But what I do is give you a roadmap of things that you need to put in place, and then you can go and have discussions with your accountant, with lawyers, etc., and then they'll give you advice and specialist advice about that. But at least I can give you a clue as to what you should consider, okay? And then you can go and do a bit more research yourself, because the majority of business owners that I meet anyway, that come into my circle, they honestly don't know anything about asset creation. And asset creation is what creates your wealth, long-term legacy wealth, all right? And if we're going to work as hard as we do in our businesses and take the risks that we do in our businesses, we should be ending up with a legacy that we can leave our family, right? So that's what I'm talking about, creating that sort of wealth. But you got to start somewhere, and the best way I know to create wealth is through the vehicle called a business. For me, that's my best wealth strategy ever. It's never let me down, and it's bought me a beautiful life, but it bought it by design, not by circumstance, not by flukes, constant flukes happening. I do have a roadmap to follow. I do have a plan in place, and I make sure I keep moving through that plan, right? And I also know when to do it and what to do and who to do it with, okay, and how to do it. So you need to have all that in place as well. So which one of these mistakes that I mentioned just before? So no clear roadmap, number one, no clear roadmap. Number two, doing everything yourself. Or number three, chasing revenue instead of assets. Which one are you doing right now? Number one, number two, or number three? Number one, no clear roadmap. Number two, doing everything yourself. Or number three, chasing revenue instead of assets. You might be doing all three, okay? And that's okay. That's perfectly okay, because I'm pretty sure I was doing all three in the very beginning of my first business too, all right? So, because you're not aware, and if you don't know what you don't know, then you don't know. And my job here is to let you know that there are these other things that you can do to put in place to make sure you're creating not only wealth, but your revenue, but you're creating profit and growing your wealth as well. That's what I want to see for everyone, okay? Because we work hard, right? We want the rewards. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is the 8 stages of business and the roadmap to scaling, okay? So there are 8 stages of business. These stages are things that you have to do first. You've got to do stage 1 first, stage 2 second, stage 3 third, and what I find, etc., all the way to number 8. And what I find is people start at number 2 or number 3, and, they get into all sorts of problems because they haven't done number 1. And number 1 is the foundational step that everyone needs to do first. Some people will have gaps from 1 to 8, and then when we go through this, you can clearly identify the gaps that you might have. And I've actually got a checklist that I'll talk about later that will take you through the gaps, or the steps rather, not the gaps, but the steps you need to have in place to make this happen. Okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and follow them through, and you'll have a business that will create all the things that I've said above. Okay, so let's go into the 8 stages of business. So, number 1 is you have a proven concept. What do I mean by proven concept? You've actually developed a product or service. You've completed a business plan so that you know what you've got to do, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And you're selling it. You've been able to sell it. Now, you may not be scaling it at the moment right now, but at least you have sold 1 or 2 or 3 of your product or service so that you know there is a market for it. Because until you've sold it, you're not an entrepreneur, you're an apprentice entrepreneur. Okay, entrepreneurs are able to sell things. So let's get you out of the apprenticeship mode and get you into the revenue mode. That's number 1, okay? The next step is to make sure all of your branding is in place. What do we mean by branding? So you prove your concept first. You know there's a market for it. The next thing you do is you look at your website and you look at your marketing material and you make sure the message to market is clear. You make sure everything that the public sees is exactly the profile that you want your business to have, all right? And you really want to build it as you want to finish it, as you want to end up. So if you want to have a business that is not relying on you, then it's not a good idea to build that business with your name in it. Because someone's not going to buy a business with your name in it, for example. Okay, so you've really got to look at what you're going to call it, because it might just be you now, and that's fine, right? But if you're actually branding it you will never be able to escape it. Never. So you really want to think about branding. It's really, really important. And you want to be able to build your brand so you can scale it up and you can move out of your business. Now, you can either exit by selling it, or you can exit it by putting in a CEO on your behalf. There's they're the 2 main ways, right? But you want to be able to do that because you want to be able to monetize that asset called a business. And if you can't monetize it, there's really not much point. You've bought a job. It might be a very well-paying job, but you've bought another job. You've bought yourself a job. And so I want to get you away from that, okay? I want you to get you something that's an asset. The third step is to create your operational team. Now, this means to start delegating those tasks so that you're not feeling like an octopus, so that you're able to delegate the things that are not your natural talents and strength areas, okay? We want you to be focusing on your natural talent and strength areas. I keep saying this because that's where you get your biggest bang for your buck. Always. Always and forever, because it's always connected to your passion and your purpose. And I haven't seen anything different ever. Okay? So everything else needs to be delegated or outsourced. And you work your business up and you get your revenue increased so that you can bring in other people to help you out. Because if you don't, once again, you'll never be able to scale, because you'll be doing everything yourself and you will stay at the level you are on. You might be able to go up a little bit in revenue, but you're not going to go up drastically in revenue, okay? Then step number 4 is your market connections. So who is your market? Who are you networking with? How can they help you in your business? How can you leverage the network that you have? How can you design a network to make sure you've got advisors, you've got financiers, you've got the peers that you might bounce ideas off. You've got advisors like me. I'm an advisor. You know, who shows up in that network, but you design that network. You make sure you're not just doing it happenstance. You're doing it with a plan behind it, okay? Number 5 is equity. You actually now have a business that's worth something. You can sell part of the business. You wouldn't be selling the whole business, but you might be bringing in a partner and you may give them some equity. Or you will have to probably give them some equity, okay? Unless you're going to get them to buy in. That's another thing that you can do. They can buy some equity. That's the best thing to do. Or it could be they give you sweat equity in return. but be careful with that. You really have to know the people to be able to do that. Okay, so the next step is number 6, asset accumulation. What does that mean? It means to build wealth beyond the revenue. So these are things like your intellectual property, to make sure you've got the rights to your intellectual property, to make sure you've got your brand trademarked. So this is where you do studying all the trademarks and making sure they're all in place. This is where you develop systems and perhaps sell the systems to other people. And this is where you start purchasing assets in the business name. Okay, so you want to be a company by that stage, if you're not already a company. So it depends what you want your business to do. But if you want to get into the asset accumulation stage, you'll definitely need to have a company structure and probably a trust structure as well. But again, that's not for me to advise you on. That's for your accountant, okay, and your lawyers to give you advice, and trademarks. That's all for them, okay? But be aware that that's there, and be aware that that actually also helps you become more sustainable, become more solid, you know, and become more recognized in the marketplace, okay? And number 7, you create cash infrastructure. That's you make sure there's no financial leaks. You make sure you're maximizing profits, and you do that through your systems and processes. And you also make sure that you are scaling money while you sleep, and systems do that, okay? You can't rely on people going out and bringing in business for you on your behalf only. You've also got to have a system that will help them bring in people, that will support that. And you'll have products and services that people can just sign up to at any time, so that that revenue keeps ticking over without anyone needing to be in front of anyone else. All right. So that's what I mean by cash infrastructure. And then number 8, and the last one, is to create a business that is licensable. So you give licenses to people, or it's a franchise model where people rent your equity. So you keep all the equity, but people rent it from you. And in return, you give them everything they need to do the same business as you. It's about duplication of your business. So that's that one. So of the 8 stages, okay, number 1, proven concept. Number 2, branding. Number 3, operational team. Number 4, market connections. Number 5, equity. Number 6, asset accumulation. And number 7, licensable or franchisable system. Which stage do you think you're at right now? Type the number, corresponding number in the comments below, from 1 to 8. Where are you right now? Okay, from number 1 to number 8. All right, the power of delegation and natural talents and strengths and profiling. You know, this is the real power of what I want to talk about now. So most entrepreneurs struggle because they're doing work that doesn't align with them. It just doesn't align with their natural talents and strengths. And so it feels hard in lots of areas. You procrastinate over certain things. And so how do we eliminate that as much as possible? Well, you do an entrepreneurial profile, and you find out exactly where your natural talents and strengths are. You find out exactly what they are, and you focus on those, and you make sure you bring on people who'll fill in those gaps as quickly as possible. And they'll do those things for you so that you can focus on other things that you're great at doing and that you love to do. And so it changes your whole way of being and how you turn up every day in your business. And it makes you more attractive to others, makes the attraction process so much easier because you're being your authentic self. And we want you to do that as quickly as possible too. So if you remember, I've talked about it before, but just a little reminder, these are the 4 areas that you may have your talents and strengths aligned to. So strategic, if you remember, strategic is big picture thinking, eagle eye view, coming up with lots of ideas, always future focused, 5-year business plan, easy peasy. Okay, implementing it might be a little bit more difficult, right? Visionary, very visionary. The next one's communicative. This is about the networkers. This is where the networkers are, the marketers, the relationship builders. If that's your strength, that you're communicative. If you're implementational, it means you love being hands-on, you're a doer, and you're action takers. You get things done. You don't muck around, you get it done. And if you're logical, then you're all about the numbers. You're all about measuring everything. You're all about analysing everything and running the business from those analytics. Okay, so that's logical. Okay, so there's nothing is right or wrong. You need all four in your business equally to make a really successful business. Okay, but when you focus on your strength area the most, magic does happen in your business. It really does, because you're getting rid of the things that you're not great at doing and you're giving it to someone who is great at doing it. And it's all complementary. I don't believe in competition. I believe in collaboration, and everything I teach is a highly collaborative model, okay? Because it works and everyone has a good time in the process. So you don't have to be good at everything. You just build the right team around you. So drop your dominant strength. What's your dominant strength? Let's have an idea of who we have here, because the other thing you can do is, if you're in bootstrapping and you're in the beginning of your business, you can use other people in your community to swap your skills with. So if you're communicative, you might want to work with someone who's logical, because you know that that's your blind spot. And if they are logical, then their blind spot's definitely going to be communicative. And likewise, if you're strategic, then your blind spot's probably going to be implementational, right? And if you're implementational, your blind spot is going to be strategic. So if you can swap skills with each other, I'll do this for you, can you do this for me, and you both do those things, then that's a great way of getting other people in your team helping you, so that you don't have to be the octopus anymore, and you're helping each other out. That's what I'd love you to use this Facebook group for. So in the bottom, let everyone know if you're strategic, or you're communicative, or you're implementational, or you're logical, and let's see who you can work with to support each other and help each other out without having to exchange any money. Okay? It's a great way when you're bootstrapping your business to get things done and to start delegation. And you help others and they help you, and that's also great. It's all about collaboration. It's what I was talking about before. Okay, so just to recap, scaling's about following a clear roadmap. It's about playing to your strengths, and it's about systems that don't rely on you, building systems that don't rely on you. Okay, so stop trying to do everything. Have a look at some different strategies so that you can get people around you who can help you out with their natural talents and strengths, and swap your natural talents and strengths with them to do that. And if you'd like to learn more about all of this and how it all works out, how it all works together, if you drop the word roadmap in the comments, I'll make sure I get a checklist to you so that you can have a look at all the steps you need to have in place to create a business that is something you can sell later on, okay? And ask any questions in the comments. I love you to interact, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Thanks everyone for being here. I really appreciate you showing up, and I can't wait to have a chat with you again next week when I talk to you again about taking care of business. Thanks everyone, and bye for now.